Hello, John. And we've just been practicing his name, so John Mckeown. But if I was in Ireland, I would say John Mckeown.
Mckeown, like Mckeown.
Sounds like a car going past really fast. And John, where are you dialing in from today? I said dialing. I don't know why I say dialing. Clicking in from.
I'm in sort of. I was going to say sunny Ulverston. It's a bit. It's all right. You know, it's not bad.
Freezing out there today.
Yeah, I've not been up yet.
Yeah, it says on my phone it's about 6 degrees, and it's just a lie.
Right.
So it's 6 degrees if there's no wind, but the wind is like -6. No, it's cold. So you're in Ulverston.
Ulverston, yes.
Okay.
Lovely little town.
And I think we got connected a while back through Sam Club. I can't remember how you got to know about it.
I can't remember either, unless I was just on Twitter a lot of the time. I think I probably
it could have been a quick one. Yeah.
Although I got a feeling somebody probably told me.
Right. Okay.
You're at Kirby Lonsdale at the time.
That's right. That was before we relaunched it. We relaunched it at Windermere, and it changed substantially. But so we've known each other for quite a few years, and I've always known you as the video expert. Because you're going to explain about your background, etc. But you have recently made a foray into a different kind of business, haven't you?
Oh,
now we've just hidden them all. We've just hidden them all behind the background.
I've just hidden them all, but this is a small version of, my gin.
Your gin, as you do. That's what you do. You go from videography to making your own gin.
Well, yeah, you know, like you do. Well, why not? I kind of is my thing, I guess, really, because since Brexit, things have been a little bit strange, I have to say. So diversification, you know, especially as we are where we are at the minute, isn't a bad thing, really. Yeah. So, and people seem to like gin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Funny that. Yeah. I don't know very many people who don't like it. Although I was telling somebody about my first ever gin experience. I was 15. Obviously, don't tell anybody. And apart from the world that we're telling now, and I was on a date with a guy that was a lot older, and he said, "What would you like to drink?" And I thought, probably shouldn't say Pernod and Black. It doesn't sound very sophisticated. So I'm going to say gin and tonic. And when he brought it for me, I didn't know what it was. It tasted like perfume. And it's fair to say that it is an acquired taste, isn't it, gin?
Well, the beauty of it these days is that there's that many different types of it, and it's that versatile. You can produce loads of different flavors. So, I mean, there's some very juniper forward ones, very dry, and like you said,
the gin expert, juniper forward gin.
You know, well, that's what it is. It's that sort of perfumey kind of piney taste is not everyone's cup of tea, if you excuse the backward one.
Everybody's gin and tonic.
Yeah, so but ours isn't massively juniper. I would say it's a contemporary gin, really. So our key ingredient is sarsaparilla, which people either know or they don't know.
Like from the old bottles, the bottles of sarsaparilla you used to buy. No way.
Yeah. So so people that know that really get it, and people that don't know it just think, wow, I've not tasted anything quite like that. That's a bit different, and it's quite accessible, really. So it's citrusy and it's got sarsaparilla in it. So
well, I think we're going to have to get you on another lockdown lesson. So our plan is, I'm just here with Phil actually, but our plan is to relaunch these lockdown lessons as something called something different. I'm not quite sure what, but we're going to get Lakes locals or something on to talk about their businesses. So I'm going to get you back on. I'll haul you back on to talk about your gin. And then maybe we'll have a proper tasting as well. You should obviously send me one in advance to sample, and I'll.
Your Tess has tried hers yet, but
oh my god, I don't know if she has. No, but thank you for that. John sent Tess, my daughter, some for helping you, wasn't she, with your social media? But yeah, if I did have some gin as a tasting, I might be good for nothing in the afternoon. So I'd have to get the phone diverted away from me that day.
But let's tasting and start posting out. So,
but I actually need to taste it as well. I need to taste it, obviously. So let's go back to videography. So how have you been in videography your whole life? How did you get into it?
I basically started working in television 25 years ago this year. So I was a trainee cameraman at the age of 28, and I felt like the oldest guy in the world at that time. Just felt crazy old to be doing that. Well, starting as an apprentice, kind of, really. So I started at Tyne Tees Television in Newcastle. absolutely fantastic place, great people, great education. You do that many different things, that many different disciplines, news to sort of like question time and game shows, music shows, sports, you name it, we did it really. So loved that, and I still work as a TV cameraman. So I was.
But you're into your sports, aren't you? So you
it kind of went into music and sport, and it was going to go one or two ways. And because I lived in Newcastle at the time, and they were doing really well in the Premier League, Sky were always coming, and so I'd work for them. And then, so this summer I should have been at the Olympics. You know.
Oh no, that's gutting.
No. So
you're going to do the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah, I was going to do that. You know, I've never been to Tokyo, so I was looking forward to that. So I do stuff like that. You know, I did the Winter Olympics, the last ones. I was at the previous Summer Olympics in Rio. And so I do bits and bobs like that, World Cup finals and things, you know. But it was like, I think it was 2007, started producing my own videos for people, you know, so people at BAE Systems in Barrow, the submarine shipyard, you know, so people like that.
What commercially you mean, or just?
Yeah. So I started producing videos for them. So communication videos. I think the first thing I did for them was an induction video. So when you go to the gatehouse, before you go in, you need to learn about what you can and can't do. You can't take your phone in there, so you have to leave your phone with them. And when you're in there, you need to wear, you know, steel toe caps.
Oh, you were videoing what they would need to then do as a visitor, right?
So if you were a visitor there, you'd have to go and watch this, and so that was, I think, the first thing I did for them. And I went and did quite a few things for them, and it was going really well until the 2008 recession really hit hard. And then, but I've kind of done videos for all sorts of people, all sorts of
even estate agents.
Even estate agents, although they don't like to splash the cash too many times. You're the exception. You're the exception, I have to say.
You are true. I've been told that all my life. No, John Mckeown did a great video for us. We pivoted immediately afterwards, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to use it. I tried to keep it quite neutral, but it was basically a walk through the office, which was a really hard one to get, and we had to do a few takes for it, and we had to all learn. You know, I had to learn the description. Pardon.
Because of me, yeah.
No. I thought you were really good. We only did like 3 takes or something. It was absolutely fine. And so that kind of commerciality and, you know, producing something that's polished but not too polished for us, that's what we were looking for. So
yeah.
I think what you're again.
You came to the right person then.
It's the right, polished but not too polished. That sounds like you, really, yeah. So I think what you're good at doing is interpreting the customer's needs, which is basically what you've done with the gin, I'm sure. So Linda Stott says John does a great gin and jam cocktail. Is that right? Gin and jam?
Yeah, well, every Saturday on Facebook and Instagram at 6:30, we've been doing some live videos. And, you know, this is an easy use of video. So we're doing a live video. I'm just setting the laptop up and the camera for my phone for Instagram. And we're doing some cocktails, you know, and I'm not a bartender, you know, I'm not professional at doing that, but it's been quite a giggle, really. So we've been making 2 or 3 cocktails a week. And a really simple one is, especially in lockdown, is gin and jam. Well, the best, I think, of that ilk, gin and marmalade. So a marmalade, gin and tonic. Honestly, it's fantastic. Get a jam jar, a spoonful of marmalade.
I've got a jam idea. That jam idea is nice.
A large gin in there. Give it a good shake. Top it up with tonic. Honestly, it's fantastic. It really is, and it particularly works for ours because we've definitely got an orange kind of. It's on more. There's an orange sort of spectrum there. You know, it's got citrus in it, but definitely leaning towards the orange sort of.
That's quite a fun thing to do, though. Actually, isn't it?
It has been good. Yeah.
I think what's good to talk about actually is, as we talk about the video tips, is to talk about how you would use it for a product or to, you know, get something promotional out there, which is obviously what you're doing. So you're not using your expensive camera equipment, are you? You're just using things that other people have got. So should we dive into that?
Yeah, okay, yeah. We'll do that.
Shall I put the screen on?
Yeah, sure. Well, let's have a look. Just chat for a second. I mean, basically, there's lots of different ways of doing video these days. And where most people are getting involved with video now is like live video. So you're not thinking too much about technique as long as you can see yourself and you can be
like,
heard.
like this now.
Like this now. So this is how a lot of people are using video. So you don't need to think too much about that. You know, I mean, you've put this StreamYard into place to make it this happen so we can both do it at the same time, both speak at the same time, which is great. So people are using that a lot. I think what tips I might have are more for if you want to produce like a more polished sort of thing, you know, more polished video at the end. So that's where you need more tips. As we're filming like this vertically, some of my framing techniques don't even come into play. As long as you're front, you know, in the middle of the frame when you're doing a live, that's absolutely fine. So, but that's people's first foray. But if you want to go further into it, I've got a lot more tips for you, basically. Shooting techniques.
All right. Well, you go whatever direction you want. It's your initiative. I'm just going to say hello from Tess, and Linda again says John's creating a video on your phone course was really great.
Oh yeah, so we did a full day. The last time I did it was nearly a year ago, actually. I
don't remember a few people from the Sam Club telling me that you'd done it. We need to maybe get you along to the Sam Club to present that, because that would be, if you're up for it, that would be a great course. Yeah,
I mean, it's like it is a full day thing, and what people always think. I mean, they can give a short version, but people think, oh well, it'll only take a couple of hours. But when they come along and realise it needs to be a full day, and in fact, a lot of people that do smartphone video courses, they do it over a weekend. So
you tried teaching Facebook in a 2-hour workshop.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's always a lot more to it than people think. Oh, it's just a camera. I'm just doing some filming, and it's not that. You know, there's much more to it, and the editing is the thing that I'm going to find it hard to touch on today in depth, because it takes such a lot of time. It's at least 50% of the process. You know, filming a bit isn't all, you know, everything. So I mean, the first thing I would say is, if you're thinking of making a video, why, you know, what's the purpose of the video, and so you need to plan it really. So if you're thinking, I might have a product, so I've got the little bottle here, so I want to explain what that's about. So how do I do that really? So you think about, how best can I do that justice? So it's planning what your video is about really, and it's who's your audience. You know, who's going to watch this, and why they're watching it, and what are they going to get out of it.
Is it also where they're going to watch it as well? Does that come into play? Whether they're going to watch it on desktop or phone or? Yeah,
so I did list a few sort of tips, but a few of them sort of merge into one, and part of them is planning. Putting yourself in the eye of the viewer is another one. If you're about to sit down and watch a video that says 5 tips about, you know, a smartphone video, you don't then go off on a tangent and talk about the latest bit of the latest bit of video kit, you know. So you know, I think, oh, this is a really nice lens. People are interested. It's like, if you tell them it's a video about how to make a video, that's what they want to know. They don't need to know about gear these days. We've got a phone. But
what would you say to those people who are worried though about taking a video on the phone, that, you know, those people who are a bit of perfectionists and they think it's never going to be good enough, and then they start looking into the professional version, and it runs into thousands. You know, how do you choose what kind of video to produce for the right audience?
Well, that's it, is knowing your audience and knowing where they're coming from really, I guess. If most, you know, I keep referring back to gin, but I know for a fact that 85% of the people buying it are buying it through Facebook. So then I need to appeal to Facebook, you know, that audience there. So if I was making a video for Facebook, I wouldn't make it widescreen. I wouldn't make some epic on what it's kind of horses for courses. If you think your audience is on YouTube, I would make a widescreen. So I would be shooting that way around, you know. If I'm doing it for Facebook or Instagram stories, I need to be filming this way around. And there's a happy medium, which I think I've landed on, which is when you're talking this and this is 16 lines that way, you know, 16 of dots that way by 9 this way. So when you turn that round, it's 9 by 16. So
is that the same for all phones though? What about, because I've got a big phone, but is it still in proportion? Is it still 9:16?
So yeah, well, I mean, it's not actually the phone size; it's the camera sensor that's that. So if you're doing it's going to be 16 lines this way for every 9 that way. And when you flip it around, it's the reverse. It's 9:16. So there's a happy. You don't want to get bogged down in settings really, but you do want to think about where you're going to be sharing your video. So if it's exclusively Facebook or Instagram, I would shoot it vertically. I would, or square, or there's a happy medium between full vertical and I would say 4:5 is the aspect ratio. It's like, again, it's.
I didn't even know you could do that. Can you do that on a phone where you choose a 4:5 ratio?
Well, that's the thing with Apple. You can't necessarily. I think with a lot of Android phones.
Android. Who's got an Android phone?
Well, 89% of Android.
No, not Cumbria though. It's more like 89% is on Apple in Cumbria.
Yeah, not in Posh Lake District. So maybe not. So that's where you probably have to look at different apps if you want to shoot natively that way. So this is a bit of a but if you shoot vertically, it's fine. That's great. But then you can tweak it afterwards in an editing.
But it's horses for course, isn't it? Because let's say we were going to do, and we have done, a really beautiful property lifestyle movie, and we did that as a widescreen, and somebody could watch on. They could actually watch it on a TV, and it would still look amazing. But when I'm doing my news at 10, that's just me with my phone vertically because it kind of suits that environment, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, one way of doing it is if you were shooting a video and you weren't sure where you were going to put it, whether it was going to live on the front page of your website or YouTube or Facebook, I would say if you've got a 4K camera in your phone, which more and more they have, anything over the last few years, they mostly have, shoot 4K. You'd have to delve into your settings. It's a bit long-winded to go through all that now for everyone, but if you go in your settings and choose 4K, what you've got there is you've got a very high resolution video in this format, but if you take the middle bit and repurpose it in an editing app on your phone, at least you've got a reasonable amount of definition and resolution in here, by taking the middle bit. If you shoot in 720, which was like the first high definition televisions, so if you've only got 720 lines instead of 4,000, by the time you take the middle bit out, the image quality is pretty bad.
Right.
So that's why it's important to know your audience first. And if you haven't got a 4K camera, I wouldn't start cropping like this in an app afterwards, because the quality is going to be really poor. So it's decide on your audience first and foremost, and you might have to make a video twice. But if you're not sure where it's going to go, shoot in 4K, shoot it that way around, and then you can crop it and still be reasonable, No,
so we say the same, really. We tend to, even our lives that we do in the office here with Phil and I sitting on the sofa, when we do our Ask AJ, we always do them horizontally, because we just feel like then you've kind of got the full width. It's quite hard for us both to sit in. I don't want to sit that close to him. In vertically, so, and it just kind of suits the sitting on the sofa chatting kind of format. It feels more like an interview format, doesn't it? So, like you say, know your audience, know where it's going to go. Yeah,
definitely.
And by the way, Linda Stott has an Android. I don't know how I feel about that, Linda.
I know.
One quick.
Linda, I know. Well, but we helped Linda out with one particular app I found eventually for her, which subtitling is a big thing as well. I almost don't want to talk about it. It's a pain. It's an absolute pain. There are certain apps that'll work for subtitling. Apple has got clips built in. I think you get clips straight away.
Phil, what do you use for your subtitles? What do you use for subtitles on your phone? On your phone, when you're recording yourself, what subtitles app did you use? No, you actually do one where I thought it was Clip or something.
Yeah.
He's looking now to see what it was, but it actually creates subtitles as you go along, and it's better than most. I think it's a lot better than the Facebook one. The Facebook one, it's like they're listening to a different clip when they give you your subtitles, like a Nigerian, milkmaid or something. The words that they come out with. He's looking now, I can't remember what he uses.
So Apple Clips is great. You need to be connected to the internet, but if you're doing again, we're going back to sort of more like a social media video. So you're talking to camera, and as you're speaking, it live translates what you're saying, and it puts the captions on screen, which is fantastic. You can go back and edit them afterwards.
Yeah.
So Clips, but if you've got an Android phone, Autocap, I think, was the one we found for Linda.
Right, okay.
There's a much more.
Why would you use subtitles? Just explain that a second.
Yeah, so basically, let's pretend we could go on a train, and we didn't want to annoy everyone by the volume being on, or if you didn't have headphones, you can watch a video and understand the message coming across from a video by reading the subtitles, basically. So that's why you want to do that, because you're not always in a situation, an environment where you can listen to the audio. So if you can,
also, I think by default Facebook's audio is off, isn't it, when you scroll through, and then when you click on one to unmute it, then it unmutes them all. So you have to imagine somebody's watching it with no sound. Well,
that's it, really. So it helps. It helps that. Particularly if you're trying to watch in an office environment when you shouldn't be, doing that. At least you can get away with it and get the message still, really. So. And if it's there on screen, and even if you can hear it, it reinforces the message, doesn't it? So there's another app which is called Veme, VEME.ly, which is now available on Android, Linda. It's a bit more. Basically, you could shoot a video, and you can add your subtitles afterwards. Now it gets a bit tricky. I have to say, it gets a bit tricky. You have to have your subtitles in a file which you upload to the app, and then
SRT file like you have to do with Facebook.
Yeah, so there's .srt. So you do that with Facebook, and you also do that with YouTube.
Yeah.
Couple of ways to get around it. You send your video clip to someone called rev.com, rev.com, and they translate it. Sometimes it's as quick as an hour, and you pay $1 a minute.
It's gone up, John.
Has it?
$1.25.
Oh, there you go.
Makes a big difference, actually, doesn't it? But actually, if you've got a 10-minute video, it's definitely worth doing. We do a lot of repurposing with ours. Even if we don't use them for subtitles, we use them for content. I'm losing track of which numbers we're on here, and I'm just keeping an eye on the time. Yeah. What was number one?
So tip, I would say plan.
And know your audience, Yeah,
and 1A, put yourself in the eye of the viewer. 2 is choose your platform. So shoot according to which platform you're going to.
Got you.
If you're going to be. 3rd tip really is to shoot smart. As my company is VidSmart, shoot smart really. So few little tips, basic people. You've seen a wedding video when the video starts halfway through someone talking.
Yeah.
Start recording ahead of the action happening. So if you know something's about to happen, don't wait till the second it starts before you start recording, because if you do go to edit it in an app, it gives you a little bit of leeway. It gives you a bit of a chance to maybe mix from one shot to another without clipping the start of it, really.
Actually, that's true, because when Phil and I record, we quite often record videos for clients, and we press record, and then we both just sit and smile at the camera for like 2 beats, because then you've got a decent amount of time. Because if you start, you quite often are going to be clipped, and the same at the end. We just, sit there gurning at the camera. Well, so we've got a thumbnail.
Yeah, definitely. To do that at the end, because you could do, keep recording. So start recording early, keep recording at the end for a few seconds afterwards, because it feels a bit claustrophobic to be straight in and straight out. What happened there? Did I miss something? And it gives you a chance to just mix away to something else. And
Tilly also normally takes a still of us as well, so we don't have to try and choose the thumbnail from the video. We can actually just upload the still, which is nice and easy.
Yeah, quite often it's good to take a separate photograph for that, so you got a better quality thing. You're not lifting it from the video. So that's
normally one of us has got our eyes shut, the other one's got their eyes open. It's just a mess. So actually, just to get a quick still of us both smiling at the camera is just nice and easy. Yeah,
so when you upload to Facebook video, to Vimeo, YouTube, you have to choose, like you say, a still from the video, but it's a lot cleaner if you upload a separate image. And quite often you want to brand that image, don't you? So you want Ashton Jones on every. So when people go to YouTube or Facebook, it's one of your videos through your branding on your.
We actually use a sting. I don't know if you want to mention this.
Yeah. we're getting quite in depth with that. Yeah, so you can do them yourself, or you can get someone online to do it for Fiverr.com to just upload your logo, and they'll create a little bit of magic with a bit of music.
It just goes Ashdown Jones.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, there you go.
So you I'll just do the voiceover. It turns our logo into a little bit like it's like a 3-second animation, and it just gives us a closing point for the video. We quite often don't put it at the beginning because I think it's a bit much to be at beginning and end. But at the end, it just finishes it off professionally, I think. Yeah,
definitely. And you can put your contact details on there.
It cost us about $20. It was nothing at all. It was really good to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can do your own in certain editing apps as well. You know, it's just something basic will do most of the time. If it's just like your website address, you know, just something simple, or your different social handles. You know, another thing is like filming. This isn't filming. You know, like if you go in the Sistine Chapel and there's lots of people from the Far East just doing this everywhere. That isn't film. That's hose piping. Actually, you know, so that's what I've got a little, I don't know if you want to, I can't do it on I had a little screen I could have shared with you, but it's no, let's not do it. That is hose piping, basically.
Hose piping. I've not heard of that before.
Yeah, basically you're squirting it everywhere. You're sort of, you know, just don't do it. There will be a hose pipe ban soon. It hasn't rained for ages. Just don't do it. That isn't filming. That's just recording video. You know, just because you every square inch. Keep things simple, basically.
I have noticed when when you're at you're on a train and somebody like videos out the window for ages and ages. You think, what are you going to do with that footage? Or the tourists down, you know, videoing just constantly, like the swans. You know, who has to sit and watch that video?
Yeah, unless you share it immediately, you know, it's a short clip, you share it on Instagram or wherever, fine. But like that's where it comes to planning. So you're not just shooting, you need to know what you're filming, you know.
Sorry, I've got sensors in the office and the lights have just gone off.
Phil,
right. Please go and get the lights back on. Phil, please get these lights back on. The lights have gone off. I can't get them.
So I can still see you. You're fine. Another thing is, if you're shooting vertical video, it's difficult to apply what I'm about to say. But if you're shooting this way around, photographers will tell you this. There's something called the rule of thirds. Yeah. So you kind of want to put people's eyes a third of the way up the screen.
Eric Pye did his video. He did his session on that one.
Yeah.
And he actually taught me how to put the grid on my phone.
Yes.
And so, in fact, I can probably just quickly put it on now. So I don't know if you can see this. It's going to be a bit meta because it's actually a picture of the picture. But can you see there's lines? Yes. Can you do that on a video as well, or only on a?
No, you can do it in video. Yeah. Let me. If I.
I've still got the lines actually on the video.
Yeah.
Okay. So I could actually put okay. I didn't.
So those lines. So if you want to keep it held up, actually, just
hang on one second.
Me try to fiddle with my phone now, actually. But if you do it, so there's a line there you can see. A third of the way in from each side of the frame, way up.
Can you see that?
Yes.
That's hopeless. It's hopeless. Can't show it. Can you see the lines?
So basically, you want your eyes on that horizontal line coming down from the top, a third of the way down. If your eyes are roughly there, that's good. Unless you're chopping the top of your head off, you need to play with it. But if there was you. And you're in widescreen, if you stood in the middle, it looks a bit odd. There's a lot of space down the side, which is a bit wasted. You've stood off to the side.
Everybody does, don't they? Everybody just puts himself. We've done it now. Yeah. We're sitting in the center, aren't we? It feels natural. But actually, when you're filming something, you want a bit more creative than that. I take it.
Yeah. So I mean, if you were doing if you were shooting widescreen, you know it was going to go on your website or YouTube. You want to put yourself maybe on the third. And there might be like a tree in the background and frame that a third of the way in as well, you know, if you can. Something like that. It might be an object that you can frame in, might be the mountain that you see. You want to do it so it's kind of filling a rough third of the frame.
But when you were doing your filming for, say, football matches.
All right, that's completely.
Well, I realise that, but it's just brought it to mind. How on earth did you know where the ball was going to go next? How do you chase that ball?
Well,
I'm thinking where you keep your footballer. Do you keep your footballer like at the beginning of the bit?
Well, kind of the rule of thirds. Kind of, I quite often do camera one on football matches, which is the main thing that you see most of the time. on the halfway line up there, and it is like a constant reassessment. Every second you're reassessing your framing, thinking about the rule of thirds. Really. So you're keeping, yeah. Well, I've been known to fall asleep at halftime, but that's probably when we've been on a long trip on a World Cup and we've had a few too many beers the night before. But that's another matter. I didn't say that. I take that back if anyone's watching it.
Obviously not.
So basically, yeah, I'm thinking of rule of thirds all the time. Like the touch line and the far side, I'm kind of thinking roughly third-ish, you know, and where people are. But it's body language, and quite often, if you watch Sky Sports, quite often you'll see there might be a dummy that the player does, pretends to kick it one way, and the camera goes, "Hey, got me again." You know? That's a bit annoying.
But you are still thinking about the real thirds in it because you're leaving space for them to run into the shot.
Yes, definitely. And then you're always aware of someone that might be out of frame as well. You kind of through on your peripheral vision, you're thinking, well, if it goes over here, I need to be ready to sort of zoom out and pan that way.
That's hard, isn't it? So let's say you were photographing or filming your kids, right? And your kids are running around with a football in the garden. You're not trying to always keep them in the center then. It's okay to keep them over to one side running in because you're trying to chase them. Yeah,
it just sort of depends, really. If you've got a load of spare frame that's doing nothing, you know, and you're chopping off, if you've got two kids and, you know, if they're all over on one side, you bring them in, you know, and if you can place them a third of the way each in, try. But, I mean, that's just...
just stop playing football. Just stand there. You're on my line. You stand there, you're on my line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just don't chop the heads off, and
because actually what we have been talking about is something that is probably an inanimate object, like your gin bottle, for example. But obviously, a lot of people film things that are moving. Yeah. So you know, like you do, and that brings a whole other dynamic to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes if you're filming something that's you're going to edit afterwards, you're going to put a bit of time into. If you're filming like one of the boats on Lake Windermere, think, wow, look at this. This is, you know, you're stood out of your house, you know, your garden, looking at it going past. If you were filming it in quite close up, don't film it all the way around like this, because it doesn't give you opportunity to do anything else with it. If you can sort of film it for a little bit, follow it, and then just hold your framing and then allow it to go out of frame slowly, that lets you cut to another shot more cleanly, you know. Okay. So you just let it go, it disappears out of frame. If I can try to do it on the edge of this frame, how do I do it? Yeah, so you just let the boat just go out of frame. You lose it, so you're left with a bit of lake. Then you can mix to maybe a shot of the mountain or a tree or something else, you know, or a different shot of the same boat. Because you don't ever want to cut from shots that are exactly the same. So wide shot. So if you've got a really wide shot of something like from your garden, from what I've seen on Facebook, it's like a really wide shot. If you cut to another shot, the same shot, it just sort of jars a little bit. Having said that, in this day and age where people turn things around quickly, you can totally get away with it as well. Especially people talking to the camera. People accept jump cuts these days. That's what it's called.
I know, jump cuts. Yeah, I've seen that. And actually, there's been some kind of YouTube pioneers of jump cuts, haven't they? I've forgotten the name now. What's the sexy savvy social girl? I can't remember her name. She's got a very unusual name. She was like, you know, fantastic with jump cuts, and there's a lot of jump cut training on it. Ali Tordov's watching, and she's been practicing with video recently. I'm not quite sure what she's producing, but she's producing some projects and getting to grips with editing. So Ali, if you have a question, either online or offline, let us know. Let's move on, John, because otherwise I'm going to keep you on this for ages. Sorry, I'm fascinated by it.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, so things that people won't accept in a video, bad sound is the biggest one. So if you've got bad sound on a video, if you're trying to, you know, communicate with someone, you can't hear them. It doesn't matter if the picture is like award-winning. But you'll just switch it off. You won't bother. So basically, first of all, think about where you're filming. You know, if you're in a really noisy environment, do you really have to be there? Is the first question. Go somewhere quieter. There's 4 microphones in these. There's like front, back, down the bottom. Yeah. There's more than you think. However, well, you got one next to your camera on the front side. One next to your camera.
That's a microphone there, is it?
That's a light sensor or flash. Actually, that'll be a flash. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So you should. Let me have a look at mine. but there's a little tiny hole next to. Is there a little tiny hole?
There is a little tiny hole. Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
So it's 3 or 4. So you got one next to each
and I've
camera.
Got quite a few at the bottom there.
Yeah,
because you do notice when when you're on FaceTime and somebody's holding the camera at the bottom or holding the phone at the bottom, and then if you can't hear what they're saying, they've gone all muffled. It's because they've.
You should pick it up. I mean, usually it's sort of it'll switch between whatever's the best source.
I didn't know that.
But because of that, if I was interviewing you now and the screen's like 3 feet away, but I'm right next to it, I'll say, "Hey Sam, tell us about your top tips for selling my house." You'll hear my voice really clearly because it's right next to the phone. Yours will be a little bit more distant, right? So it's the best thing for that would be for you to have a microphone, or split the difference if you can between the camera and the subject. But never be more than a few feet away because these microphones pick up the loudest thing. So if a truck goes past, it's gonna drown you out and listen to that.
I have really noticed that. We do a lot of locational filming, like when we do our competitions and the interviews and that kind of stuff. And something I do just before we turn on the record is I say my name and I want the interviewee to match my volume. Because what happens if they're a little bit shy, I'll go Sam and they'll go Linda. And then there's a mismatch, and obviously then do I go quieter? Do they go louder? So we have a little practice first, and that's when we're actually sat together. So I can imagine that across a video, it's going to be compounded, isn't it? That difference.
You see it such a lot, really, that you hear the question, but you can't really hear the answer, which is sort of defeating the object, isn't it? I don't know if you want to switch to the screen. If you can switch to the screen.
Yeah, sure. And also, let me just tell you what Ali says. She says, "I'm doing." Hang on. I've put my glasses on, Ali, for that, sorry. "I'm doing a tutorial video making a lantern out of plastic milk cartons." You did hear that, right?
Yeah.
Any tips on the best way to present will be most helpful. My first attempt is really wooden and lacking personality. It's not engaging. Should I be filming me? I've done filming of my hands holding the pieces and explaining what people need to do. You need to connect with John offline, because he's really good at this stuff, really good at telling you what you need to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, just the more you do it, the more that was one of my final tips, really, is that the more you do it, the easier it's going to be and the more natural you'll feel. Honestly, I've done pieces to camera myself, and I got to about take 70. It's great. But when you just sort of chill out and just speak like
that's why I do it live, John. Because the amount of mistakes you make on a take, you just can't do it. But as soon as you get on live, you've got no choice. Yeah.
What you could do is, and to keep you could stick a photograph of your favorite, like George Clooney or something behind your camera, pretend you're talking to George. That might make a difference again. I don't know.
Naked husband. Let's just click your screen. Yeah. There you go. How's that?
So we're talking about sound. The one on attached to the iPhone is partially redundant now because we don't have headphone inputs anymore. No. But the other two,
I've got a little connector for mine though. In fact, let me just show you my microphone. 1 second. I'm going to ask you about this.
While Sam's looking for that, I'm just going to tell you that there's a clip mic there. There's a clip mic here. So that plugs into the bottom of your phone and it clips to you.
Sorry, it's right next to me. Right, I've got one of those.
Yeah.
But what I found was when I connected it to my laptop, if you can see the connector, it's just got a jack, it didn't work. But on my phone, it does seem to work really well. So I use this little connector and just connect it to my phone, and it actually does. Especially if I'm closer to it, it does really improve the sound because we've got a lot of echoey walls in here, and I wanted to deaden that a little bit. But that was just an Amazon buy. It wasn't very expensive. Sorry, go on.
So I don't know if it looks anything like the one on screen, but the one with the red lead on the red cable there on screen.
Yeah.
That you need to put your phone in a separate holder, which has got like a cold shoe, like you know where you put a flash on an old camera.
Yes, hot shoe. What's the difference between a hot shoe and a cold shoe? Can you see this I've got on here, John? Let me just take that off. Can you see this? I don't even know what that bit's for. Is it for a tripod or something?
That
thing here that comes out.
Can you take the fluffy off? Can you take the? Yeah, that will probably. That's a new one from Rode. That if you take the dead cat or a fluffy dog.
There you go. Oh gosh, there you go.
Yeah, that's the same as I've got on screen, basically.
Let me put it back on again. Yeah. Oh, so, yeah, it is.
So what that is it's a more directional microphone. So basically, the microphone's in your phone to accept sound from everywhere. So the loudest thing wins, basically. With this one, what it does is it narrows the field. So that's your phone, and this is that microphone. It's called a cardioid. It's got like a heart-shaped sort of pattern that it accepts sound from. So that definitely improves things. On a really, really windy day, I tested it out, and you're still going to get wind noise. You still have to be quite close to it.
Is that what this is for? To reduce wind noise, this dead cat thing? Yeah.
So the dead cat, the fluffy dog, whatever you want to call it. I think Rode call it a dead cat. It does. The wind hits the strands on it, the fluff basically, and it dissipates the wind through. And it's actually designed. The design is based on a polar bear's ears, right? Because basically in the Arctic, the wind. You imagine the wind blowing like mad, and you won't be able to hear anything. Imagine if you took your phone out and all you hear is wind noise, isn't it? So to combat that, the hair in the ears on every animal really, it dissipates the sound. It dissipates the noise of the wind, so it lets them concentrate on what's going on. And those little grills down the side there, they sort of cancel out sound that's coming in from the side as well. So that's a directional microphone. But yeah, there you go. They're really about £45 maybe.
It was about that, yeah. I think it was about that. I still can't work out what that little thing is. I think maybe it's for standing. I don't know.
It'll probably go on a stand or a pole or something. I've not. Yeah. It must be a new one.
I thought it was for something to do with the phone, but clearly it doesn't clip onto the phone anyhow. So that was my worry, that when it's in, it's just going to kind of hang, So when I put it in my tripod, it's just hanging. Yeah.
So you need something to clamp your phone in, right?
I'm just going to just plug my laptop in. Just keep going a minute, John.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So you need a separate a mount for it. Well, I'm probably not going to find one here. That's one, for example, but it hasn't got a cold shoe. Or has it? Oh, it has, actually. If I can hold this up here, this is a handle, and this is spring-loaded. This takes your phone, and on the top here, there's a little cold shoe. You pull that out, and if you can see how we go in there. So in there, that's where you can slide that microphone in. It just slots in there. So that's where your microphone would slot in a holder.
Take it off again. Just show me that again.
Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a cold shoe, like you get on an old fashioned.
Yeah. So I've got that bit. In fact, let me get it.
Yeah. So there's various different holders you can have.
Right. So I've got this bit, John.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hang on. Let me get.
I've got
it all off now.
Like that right now, and I've got it set for vertical because I did it in my live. Yeah.
So if I put my phone in there, but on this particular shoe, I can't put that anywhere, can I? It doesn't go anywhere.
No, you haven't. No.
No. Okay. So I need what you've just shown me. Yeah.
So this is by a company called Seven Oak.
Yeah, that's what I've got pretty much. I think this thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. I'm just missing the thing to put this in.
Yeah. So this is. I think you can mount it different ways round, that way around, but you've got a little shoe there for sliding.
I've actually got something at the end.
Have a look.
Wonder if I can.
So what you'll need is probably.
Yeah, I need another. Look, I've got a
cable.
Yeah, I need something there.
So you need a little cable. What's the cable called? It's something like an SC11 or something, if I can remember rightly.
Sexy title, that is.
Can't find mine now.
The marketing department didn't come up with that one, did they? That's really interesting.
Yeah, so that's a Rode microphone. They make good microphones, RODE. Yeah. But if you go back to the screen, this is a good. This clip mic here at the bottom, the last image there, and the bottom.
This one, yeah.
Personal mic. So what you're using actually now, the Apple headphones that come with it. That's a free mic. You've got that with it already. So you got.
And I would say that actually, the closer you talk to this and the stiller you keep it, the better it is. But we had Richard Dancy on the other day, and he was letting his bang against his buttons.
Yeah.
And so you were getting some scraping noise there. Yeah. So you have to watch where it is, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, some people actually chop the earbuds off those and just like clip it on like a microphone, So you can do that. So, but that one on screen now is a clip mic, usually called. It's got a couple of other little names, but it's a clip mic or a personal mic, and you clip it on, and you don't want it right on top of there. But with it being close, it's a bit like the phone. It works in the same way, but because you're really close to the, the source, the microphone's close to the source, it will help, especially if you're out on a windy day. If you tucked that in a scarf where it wasn't rubbing, it's trial and error. If you tucked that away, that's probably better than the one that's going to sit on top, unless you're right close to it. Because
I have to remember, if I'm filming, I have to remember not to put like chunky necklaces on or anything, because it does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but that
definitely is a problem. So that microphone on screen is £20 from Amazon. It's by a company called Boya. It's Chinese, Boya. And the beauty of that one is it's got like a 6-foot cable on it. So if you were doing a demonstration, if Ali's still watching, you have your phone set up, you can run it out. And even if it's not clipped on, but it's somewhere in the vicinity. I said this to Sophia and Janet as well when they were doing their Friday afternoon lives. Because the camera isn't that wide on a typical iPhone or whatever, you can't get that close. So you have to pull back to get the two of them in. So then the sound starts to get worse. Plug one of these in, put it in the vicinity, put it on the table next to you, as long as you're not banging the table all the time.
No, we've done that before. It makes so much better.
Yeah, it is a much better way of going. That's £20. It works really well. You can use it on a DSLR camera as well.
Funny, we were talking about sound the other day, because something that I quite often do, I haven't done it today actually, because the office just been cleaned, but I've normally got cushions piled up either side of me, because it's a very bouncy office. We've got lots of hard surfaces, and if I put cushions all around my laptop, it just deadens the sound. And I was listening to Tim Harford, from More or Less on BBC Radio 4, and he was saying that he records his show from under a duvet.
Yeah.
So just explain how that works.
Well, basically, because if you're using your phone or whatever microphone really, but your phone's more susceptible to it, you just got reflections of sound, so echoes basically. So if you're in a big, spacious, echoey room, it's going to pick up the echoey room and not directly your voice, unless you're speaking right into it. I mean, the microphones are great in these if you're quite close, So you could do like a voice memo on there, and it works really well. So when you put the duvet over, it's just deadening the sound. It's stopping the sound bouncing off hard surfaces, really. So it just absorbs it, really. So that's why you would do that. So bad sound is definitely a thing. Bad light, it's don't have the sun directly behind you. With a professional, you can do it to great effect, but don't do that, because your phone's going to say, I don't like that. I can't handle that.
Well, we just did the exact thing, didn't we, John? Just explain what happened before we started.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm in a little messy room, it's full of boxes of gin and all sorts of junk, which you might have seen on the wide shot. I've got my big screen here, so I'd stand people up in front of you for interviews and stuff. It's got a black side and a white side. So when I had the black side up, seconds before we came on here, the camera's looking at the overall scene and saying, that's too black. So it tries to compensate for that. So it boosted the exposure. Consequently, I was completely burnt out. I was burnt out being overexposed. So you couldn't see any features. Not a bad thing. But I looked really weird. I was
your anti-aging look, wasn't it, John?
Yes. So I had to quickly flip it around in a small room. Not easy, because it's almost the size of the room. And so it says, whoa, white. So the same thing happens. You got bright light. It makes me look a bit darker, because if I get closer to it, let's not, see how the exposure changes.
Yeah. I know, I'm the same. Yeah. And actually, I've got a light in front of me, but the light in here is shocking. I've got those strip lights, which are awful for lighting. So I have to have a directional light as well, and it's still not very bright in here. It just seems to absorb all the light. It's just such a big room, and it's got a very grey light in here. It's not great. But at home, I can sit in front of a window, and if you can sit in front of a window and you're doing a headshot, it's so much more flattering, isn't it?
If you've got a window off the side, it's usually quite a soft light as well, so it's like it's sort of reflected light, as long as it's not direct sunlight beaming in. On a cloudy day, it's perfect, because it's nice soft shadows it creates. it looks really good, you know. So yeah, just think about where you stood, where you're filming, for light as well. Don't stand in a dark corner. Your camera's going to struggle. Most of these cameras are brilliant until they get into low light. The brand new iPhone probably is an exception to that. I haven't splashed out for nearly 2 years now. So yeah, bad sound, bad light. People won't accept that. And wobbly shots, if everything's really, really wobbly, that's a nightmare. I have to say, this almost 2-year-old phone, it's just an iPhone. Actually, I could have talked about my lens case that I've got on there, but it's an iPhone XS Max basically.
Yeah.
And it's got stabilization built in. So I've done when I've done walking shots. I mentioned that you were talking about gimbals recently.
Yeah.
And I've done shots where I've been walking and it looks like it's really bouncing, but the software is compensating for it, and you play it back and it's rock solid.
Wow.
And even when you use your 2x lens, which is tighter, so the wider your lens, the less wobbling you'll get when you're walking around. If you use the tight lens, even then it was solid. Like walking full pace out in the countryside, it's absolutely brilliant. You know, so
how do I know if I've got it on mine?
It'll be built in, yeah.
Is it?
What have you got?
I don't know.
See, yeah. So
know your phone, yeah. Hey Siri.
I don't know.
What kind of phone have I got?
I think it's an XR, maybe. Or
you can find.
I can find it in settings. It says I've got an X something.
XR.
iPhone XR. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's got it built in or not. So
time to upgrade.
Yeah. So, but if you haven't got it built in and it's not you talking, if you just want to do a shot and hold it steady, shoot in slow motion, and then if you slow it down.
Actually, I have to say, we've got to get, honestly, we need to end this video at some point today. But I did actually do this video the other day because I was inspired by TikTok, because obviously I'm the world's best filmmaker, and decided to make a slow-mo video. It's not a very good one, really. Hang on, let me see if I can find you about one. When you do slow-mo, it starts off fast for a second, and then, it's green screening. Hang on. Yeah. So I can find one that's not. I think it's all going to green screen it. Yeah.
When you go into, when you hit edit for your video, it's more. So, that was always my tip, you know, is like shooting slow motion. And when you play it back in slow motion, it's obviously like half speed or quarter speed. It smooths out some of those balance, you know.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, so that really works well. Another tip I used to give, probably still applies. Hyperlapse. Have you seen Hyperlapse? Is an app. So it's for time lapses.
Yeah.
It's made by Instagram, and it's been around for quite a few years now. And
I think I used to have it on my old phone, actually.
Yeah. So what a bit of a trick there was, when you film on there, it's set up for time lapses, and you can choose what speed of hyperlapse you want. You know how so it's for speeding it up, but you can actually select one-time speed, right, which is normal playback speed. But what it does is the software in it smooths it out. So it's smooth. So if you haven't got a phone with built-in stabilization and you want to do, you want to do a walkie-talkie thing, try that.
That's a really good tip. Thank you.
That does smooth it out to an extent. It's not going to work miracles, but it can work. So that's another one. But it's if you're shooting lots of different things, if you're shooting one scene to another, it's not practical, because once you've stopped recording, if you've done like a minute chat or a minute walk, a shot like that, it takes a bit of time to process that. So
right.
So it's just for certain applications, really. It's a lot to know, isn't there? I think
there is, and we've nearly done an hour. And I said when we came on, it's only going to be half an hour, which is obviously a complete lie. It's my questions that I know always pushes over the time. But obviously, video is something that we do all the time, and I'd really love to make our videos better. So I think we've given us some great tips. Did you do all 5?
Yeah, kind of. Well, the 5th one really is just to keep things simple and practice. Really,
right.
Editing is a whole different ball game. There's 2 with an iPhone. You get iMovie built in. iMovie is so out of date. It's unbelievable. It's rubbish, right? All right. So download Videoleap. right? It's video, as you expect.
I'm going to ask you for all these links actually, and we'll pop them all in the post if that's all right.
So Videoleap is what iMovie should be, basically,
right.
And it'll keep prompting you to go pro, you know, which is about £55 or something like that per year, right? Yeah. But for what most people want, you don't need to go pro, because it allows you to do a couple of things, like put like your logo in the top corner and run that throughout a video, add titles. The only thing it hasn't got in is built-in sound, like built-in music, which can help. That's the only sort of downside to it. But picture-wise, it's great. You can do so much to it that you can't do in iMovie. Another great one for both Android and iOS is Quik. So GoPro make a...
Oh yeah, I think Phil's got that on his phone. Quik.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. You can do much more than you first think. But let's say you just wanted to put a 30-second clip together. I've been to an event, or I've been out walking. Lots of different. I've got lots of different shots of things. You'll put them into Quik. You select a minimum of like 6 clips or something like that, and it automatically builds a video for you. And
a great idea.
You can change your music, and it cuts the video in time to the music for you automatically. It does select the bit of video that it wants to select at first. You can delve in deeper and change that if you want. But it's so effective, and it's what transforms people from trying to do something or not, basically. People giving up or carrying on and trying, and you just get really quick results, as it suggests, you know. So you can use it for stills or video, and you can add little bits of text on there as well. It's really, really good. I recommend that. It's free.
Brilliant.
Absolutely free. So that's my number one app, I think, for people that are starting out. Absolutely.
Videoleap. Okay.
No, Quik. Videoleap's only on Apple.
Sorry.
Quik is free. And that works a treat.
Is it spelled Quik, or is it spelled in a funny way?
It's Quik, I'd say.
Yeah, so, I think that's right. Yeah. I've seen it. I haven't got it on mine, but I think Phil used it on his.
So that is a great place to start. Absolutely free, you know.
Brilliant.
So that's great. If you're on Android, there's Power Director.
There's only Linda. There's only Linda starting the whole of Cumbria that's on Android, so we'll just pass that message on to her separately.
That's got Power Director, which is free, but it'll put a watermark on it. You know, same.
All right. Right. Should we wrap up?
Let's try. So I'll run through it quickly again. The 5 sort of tips. Really.
Go for it.
Just plan. Think about what you're going to do and what you're trying to achieve. 1A. Sort of think about what, if you were the viewer and this video says 5 things about the Lake District and it end up talking about the Peak District, you know, you're not going to watch it. So think about what your title is as well, and make it make the video about what you said it's going to be about. Think about your platform. Where is it going to be shown? Is it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or your website? And shoot accordingly. You know, if you're vertical or square for Facebook, Instagram, that works. Press record a few seconds before the action starts, and keep recording for a few seconds afterwards. Think about where you're filming. Is the sound good there? Do I need a separate microphone? Can I use the headphones, the microphone in there?
By the way, can I just say one thing about that? If you're doing it on location, like an interview or a competition or something, always do a sound check. The amount of times we've saved our skins by doing a sound check first.
Yeah. Just try it back. It only takes a few seconds. So think about what the sound's like, what the lighting's like, what the background's like. Have I got something sticking out of my head? I did a live on Saturday night, right, with my laptop. All of a sudden, Facebook didn't want to work with Chrome, Facebook Live. Very, very annoying. I don't know what the hell happened there. I had to switch over to Safari. Safari didn't have my camera, an Apple camera, you know, built in. It was crazy. So I ended up doing it on my phone and leaning it against my laptop. Consequently, I hadn't framed right for that. So my ex-boss, head of Sky Sports Football, was watching, and he said, "You've got perfectly framed plant on my head." So I had this. I thought, "Oh, brilliant!" You know.
I'll never work in this industry again.
So I had to do it really quick, and it was that far away I couldn't really see what the framing was. I had a crown growing on top. It was like a crown. It was perfectly framed. So think about what's growing out of your head as well. Keep it steady if you can. Buy a tripod with a grip like this.
Yeah.
You know, buy one bigger than you think you need. That's quite a chunky one.
Yeah. I've got the same one practically, and I just flick it so I can hold it away from me like a selfie stick.
Yeah. And it steadies things out. That steadies things out. Or if you're getting really serious, a tripod. Just keep things simple, basically, and just keep practicing.
And just do it. I would say just do it. Don't be scared of it.
The more you do it, the easier it gets, honestly. And you when you start trying to edit a few shots together, that's when you start seeing your mistakes. You know, you go, why did I do that? Why did I stop recording at that point? Why didn't I hold the shot steady at the end of the action? You know, why did I just go, you know? And people end videos if they're chatting by going, see you, bye, and they're fiddling, and then you see the camera wobble.
Watch mine, haven't you?
A few seconds. Gives you a chance to chop that bit off, doesn't it? So just keep it simple and keep doing it. Just keep trying. You'll get better the more you do it.
Well, I'm sure Ali Tordov's going to have about 1 million questions for you. You might even have a new client there. And if anybody else wants to ask any questions, where's the best place to find you? Where's your home base?
I would say email me, really, because at the minute I'm very gin focused. So the best way to get me is earlier
in the day. Then,
So John JOHN at vidsmart. So it's vidsmart.uk. There's no co in there. Just .uk.
We'll put that in the post as well. But hopefully you heard that, Ali, so you can drop John a quick message.
Yeah, drop us a line by all means. You know, it's good fun. It's good fun once you get into it. You know.
I'm fascinated by it.
It's like anything, you know. Once you get a good result, you'll feel confident. You'll go back and do more.
But I just don't think. Yeah, no, you're right. It is practice, and it also is. I mean, when we started doing video, Phil wouldn't be on them at all for the first few months, and now I can't get him off video. But we couldn't have built our brands without video. You know, it's been so important to us. I think we need to get a bit more polished with it, but you know, there are some things that we've learned over the time, but actually just doing it is more important than anything else, isn't it?
And I think doing the live videos kind of helps, because then you realize you're looking directly at a lens. You might be able to see the person as well, but it breaks down that barrier a little bit. So by the time you've done a few live things like this, when the time comes to sort of look at a camera and do it, you've kind of done it already, you know, and you get used to it, you know. So
just not care. You have to just not care what you look like or anything like that. That's the thing now.
If you've got a marketing message that you need to get out, you just got to do it, haven't you? You know,
do it. Yeah, it's more important.
Do it.
Yeah, so, it's progress, not perfection. But if you want a bit more perfection, then reach out to John. I'm going to say goodbye, John. And I knew this would go over, but I didn't know it would go over by 34 minutes. So I take entirely the blame for that. But actually, you had a lot to say as well, didn't you? In fairness,
I knew it would. Yeah, because there's a lot to take in, and you know, I don't want to bamboozle anyone. Yeah, the editing would have really bamboozled everyone. If you want some help, please, you know, give us a shout.
Thank you. All right, thanks, John. Listen, I appreciate your time. And is it gin o'clock yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Get them off.
I thought that's what you were drinking, you big pint.
There we go.
All right, we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.